Hi, welcome to Upgrade Your Self Confidence. My name is Iona, and today we are talking all about comparison and grief of unfulfilled potential. I'm just going to give the participants of this call a wee moment to join. Hopefully, they get a notification that I am live because I was live a second ago, but my camera wasn't working. So, and now it is being shaky. So, I'm going to have to try and be very still. So, hopefully, I'll get a few joiners in a wee second. So, yeah, today is all about comparison and the grief of unfulfilled potential. And I'm doing this live. This is my second attempt of this live because the first one that I did, the audio was all over the place. So we're redoing it. We're redoing it now. So I want to focus my next few lives over the next couple of weeks on the topic of comparison, because I know that comparing ourselves to others can really affect our self-confidence. And this channel, my work, is all about how we can upgrade our self-confidence, how we can become more confident, how we can become more authentically confident. So here's some examples as why and how comparison can really affect how we feel about ourselves, our abilities, and our beliefs in what's possible for us. Okay, so the first one is that it distorts reality. So when we compare ourselves to others, especially on social media, we usually compare the behind the scenes or compare our behind the scenes to someone else's highlights, right? So we don't see their struggles or their failures, and we just see the wins that they share. So it's not really a fair comparison when we compare ourselves. And another way that it affects our confidence is that it lowers our self-esteem. Constantly feeling like we're not enough, right? It can chip away at our belief in ourselves. And we can start focusing on what we lack rather than our strengths. So remember that our self-esteem is how we feel about ourselves, and our self-concept is what we think about ourselves, and our self-confidence is these things combined to create the way we act, react, and interact with the world and the people in it. And comparison can also lead to negative self-talk. So the more that we compare, the more our inner critic gets loud, telling us that we're not good enough, not smart enough, or not successful enough. And finally, it drains our motivation. So it can make us feel inadequate. Comparing ourselves to others can make us feel inadequate. And feeling inadequate can make us give up before we've even started or stop trying, right? Comparing ourselves can make us stop trying to grow because we think that we'll never be as good as someone else, right? We'll never be as good as the people that we're comparing ourselves to. So what's the point in trying, right? What's the point in starting? Because I'll just fail because I'm never going to be as good as that person. So before I get into my topic, I want to let you know that I offer private coaching sessions for anyone looking to rebuild their self-confidence, reconnect to their inner voice, or just untangle the knots that life ties us up in sometimes. So I work one-on-one with people who are feeling stuck, who want help feeling seen, who want to feel safe to be seen, and who need real grounded support. If that's you, then you can find the info on how to get in touch with me for a call, a 30-minute consultation call, in the description of this video. And I would absolutely love to help you if you're currently struggling with any life circumstances and you feel like you need relief, right? You need instant relief from whatever you're experiencing or whatever you're dealing with. But also, if you just feel like you need a change in life or you feel like you're not living up to your full potential, I can absolutely help you with that with some coaching and some counseling. So today's topic, right, comparison and the grief of unfulfilled potential, is quite a vulnerable one. And I want to approach it with care. And if you've just joined, hello, please let me know that you're here in the comments, and let me know that you can hear me okay. Let me know that you're not getting any audio feedback. I'm using my partner's professional, very expensive microphone today. So fingers crossed you can hear me okay. Fingers crossed, please. Yeah, so let me know. Um, oh, just got a wee message about the YouTube. Okay, so we're talking today about um, comparison, right? But specifically the grief that comes from feeling like your dreams didn't happen, like you somehow missed your shot. And I would love to know in the chat or in the comments if you've ever felt like you've compared yourself to others, and what that feels like. And I'm going to give you a wee minute just to pop in the chat or in the comments what it feels like when you find yourself comparing yourself to others, whether that's your work, um, or just your personality traits or your looks or anything at all. What does that feel like to compare yourself to others? So you might have felt disappointed, you might have felt angry, you might have felt sadness, you might have felt not good enough, you might have felt powerless, you might have felt helpless, you might have thought, right? You might have had thoughts, things like, I wanted that for me, they're better than me, I'll never get there. And if you've ever felt these things or thought these things, you're absolutely not alone at all. Because comparison isn't just a thought, it lives in the body. And I would love to know if you can tell me how it feels physically when you're deep in comparison, how it feels physically in your body when you find yourself comparing your work or your abilities or your looks or whatever it is. How does it feel physically in your body when you find yourself comparing, right? Comparing yourself to others. You might feel, just like I said previously, you might feel sadness, you might feel disappointment, you might feel fear, you might feel shame. And how these things show up in the physical body are fear feels like a tight chest, right? It feels like fast heart, anxiety, shame feels like heat, right? It feels like hot flushes. It feels like you're collapsing inwards. It feels like you're making yourself small. It feels like you have to hide, right? It's the urge to hide. And sadness can feel like a lump in the throat. It can feel like fatigue, teariness. It can feel like a drop in your stomach. Like you can feel like your tummy has just like dropped. And disappointment feels like deflation, right? You feel like you're deflated, like you have low energy, right? Like your posture slumps. When I'm in it, when I'm comparing myself to others, I feel small, right? Like I feel like someone just turned down the dimmer switch on my worth, and it really triggers my not good enoughness and internalized toxic shame, right? And internalized toxic shame is I'm fundamentally flawed, I'm fundamentally bad, I'm fundamentally wrong at my core. I'm a bad person, I'm not good enough, I'm wrong, I'm flawed. That's what internalized toxic shame means, right? It's that you are fundamentally at your core not good, not good enough. Does that resonate with you? Pop in the chat. I would love to know if that resonates with you. And while you're chatting, I'm going to just fix my hair because it's an absolute riot. It looks like a total mess. So, where do you feel comparison in your physical body? Hi, Aida. Yeah, you found me. Woo. Yeah, I just did a live there, but it did not work. So I'll get there one day, guys. We'll figure this all out one day. So, where do you feel comparison in your body? When you compare yourself, where do you feel it in your body? And do you feel like the fear, the shame, the sadness, the disappointment? This is a big topic, especially personally. I grew up in an environment where most of my life, I felt like I wasn't good enough. I had that projected onto me, like nothing I ever did was good enough. Nothing I ever did was enough. It was even when I did my best and tried my hardest, and even when I was doing the things that was wanted of me or the things that I knew and thought that was required of me to the best of my ability, that was still not good enough, right? And it's not a fun experience, not a fun environment to grow up in, right? And that's not a fun thing for a young person to live with. And I always got the feeling and then got the impression that the other people were always better, um, because other I was made to feel and probably also told at times that other people were doing better than I was. So I had this complex that that was true. That was my truth, that I was never doing enough or I wasn't good enough. Other people were always doing better than me. So I've grown up with this comparison complex. And what that did was it really emboldened that internalized toxic shame. There's something wrong with me. I'm fundamentally flawed. At my core, I am bad, right? Um, it's really heightened my fear, right? It really heightened my disappointment and my sadness because I thought I could never get there. Like I would never be able to do the things I wanted to do or the things that were expected of me. So here's what comparison really opens up. So comparison is not just envy, it's not just insecurity. Comparison can be, and is for many of us, grief. It's grief for the version of us we thought we'd become. Right? It's grief for that version of us that we wanted to be, or that person that we wanted to be. When we compare ourselves to others, and when I compare myself to other people who have the things that I want or are doing the things that I want to do, it's the sadness of, because of that toxic shame, because of that feeling of not good enough, nothing that I ever do will be good enough. It's like I'll never get there. I'll never get to be or do what that other person is doing. And it's a grief. It's like a grief of loss of that. It's never going to happen. And that my dreams that I had are, they're gone, right? There's no point to have them. There's no point in them. I missed my chance, right? I should have worked harder, or they're just more talented than I am, right? They're better at me at whatever that it is that I want to do, and I missed my chance, right? Maybe I never even had a chance because I didn't believe in myself in the beginning. But because I guess, right, because I had that dream and I wanted to do that thing, part of me at some point did believe that that was possible for me. But then all of the baggage and all of the not good enoughness and the fear and the shame and all of that stuff comes in and like takes over and like swallows up any hope, any dream, any thoughts and ideas that we had. Let's explore then. Let's explore the beliefs, because sometimes it's not that we didn't try to achieve or do the things that we wanted to do, and we've compared ourselves to others, and whatever journey we're on, we don't think that we're up to, right? We're not up to par with the other people around us because we just didn't have the tools and the resources at the time that perhaps they did or do, because we were just surviving, right? We were just trying to get by through life's ups and downs and life's challenges. And perhaps we didn't have the mental or the emotional energy to invest in what we needed to do to get to where we wanted to be by now, right? Which is why we're comparing ourselves to others, because I'm not where I want to be, which is where this person is or where they are. Because we don't have or did not have the emotional energy to invest in ourselves, in the belief in ourselves and our abilities, right? And what if we didn't feel good enough, right? Or don't feel good enough because we don't know what that feels like. And this is really common actually in my work as a coach and a counselor, because so many of us have never had the we've never had we've never been taught We've never had any resources, or we've never been shown what it feels like to feel good enough. We don't know how to feel like that. Or if we do think we know what it feels like to feel good enough, we can't because we're lacking in other things, whether that is physically, mentally, um, ability, location, finances, whatever it is. And we think that if we feel good enough, then we're gonna get a big head. We're gonna get we're gonna be too big for our boots, as we say in Scotland, and we're gonna become narcissistic or conceited, and no one's gonna like us. We're gonna lose friends and family members, and it's just gonna be a bad time for us. So we just go back to feeling not good enough because that feels safe. That's what we know, that feels safe. And also, right, many of the people that we're comparing ourselves to, which can add to the grief, especially if this person has a support network, strong family connection, right? Meaningful emotional connection with family members and others. We didn't have that, or we don't have that. That can really hurt even more because we see them having that and we never had that, and it can really fuel the comparison. It can really fuel the grief of not of and the realization that we can't do that, or we can't get to where we want to be, or we can't get to where they are because we don't have what they have, which is the emotional stuff, right? The support network, the emotional connection, um, the pep talks, right, from a mother or a father or a family member, right, or a best friend, or whatever it is that we don't have, that we think we need in order to be as good as they are or do the thing that they're doing. And the trick is um, that we can be that for ourselves. We have to become that for ourselves. We have to become that support network for ourselves. We have to believe that it's possible, that we can have that support network, that we can create that support network by making it for ourselves first, by creating it by believing in ourselves first, by supporting ourselves first, and then becoming an energetic match, right, to supportive people, right? What is the saying that blood is thicker than water? Something about um, the coven, right? It's like the saying about witches, right? Blood is thicker than water, but the water of the coven is stronger than blood, right? So we can actually find our chosen family, we can find our support network, and they don't have to be our blood relatives, right? They don't have to be related to us. If you remember what that saying is, please let me know because it's completely disappeared from my body. People usually say the beginning of the saying, which is blood is thicker than water, but that's just the start of the saying. It's actually a longer saying. So let's reflect, right? Let's have a reflective pause for a moment. Um, what is one dream or goal that has slipped through your fingers? What is one dream or one goal that has slipped through your fingers? And perhaps it's something that you were doing or you attempted to do, but you kept finding yourself comparing to other people and then you just stopped. Or it didn't work out for whatever reason it was. And maybe one of the reasons was because it was too difficult to watch other people succeed whilst not being able to, because that has been very challenging for me in this line of work. Right, when I trained in this 5 years ago, all my colleagues I trained with were going off and having successful practices, and these are all very hardworking and good people. But watching them go off and do their thing as I struggled, which we later found out a couple of years ago that I have autism and ADHD. So, and that was a huge theme growing up throughout life, was that my peers in school and my classmates in school. It didn't matter how hard I tried and how hard I worked, I could never do as well as they were doing. And that's been a theme that has absolutely followed me throughout life. And it was very apparent when I was retraining, because this is something that I was so passionate about, and I was so driven and really, really wanted to do it. Um, and realizing that or feeling, right, that I couldn't do it as well as they were doing, or couldn't do it as fast as they were doing. I couldn't grow as fast as they were growing, and comparing myself to them, turns out that I wasn't able to, because of this learning issue, right? This learning disability, this disability that I had of having autism and ADHD, and that what I had to learn was, and I'll go into this much deeper later, was that I had to redesign and reimagine how, and like the processes and the ways that I was going to build my practice, um, in my way, right? Because their way wasn't going to work for me, right? The neurotypical, the normal way of starting a business, starting a practice, putting yourself out there, hustling, right? Doing the hard work to get clients, to build this successful business. The normal way of doing it wasn't working. And that's exactly what it was like at school. The normal way of doing things didn't work. And unfortunately, back then, I didn't have the knowledge or the resources or the support in order to ask for help, right? I didn't know that that's what I was experiencing. I just thought that was bad, right? I just thought that wasn't good enough. I just thought that I was never going to, get the grades or the qualifications or whatever it was that I needed at the time in school and college and university. Um, but now I do know that I need the support and extra time, and I need to realize and learn how to do things a different way. And that's my way, and that's okay. And when I compare myself to others now who are doing the thing that I want to do, have the successful, busy practice that I want, and I see them going off and, having much success, I've had to really reprogram my mind and reprogram my emotional system to know that they're doing it a different way from me. I'm doing it a different way from them, and that both are allowed, both are acceptable. And just because my growth is a little bit slower than theirs, that's okay, right? That's okay, right? It's not a race. At the end of the day, it's not a race. So Aida says, the full quote is, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. Thank you so much for that. Yes, it means that the bonds formed by shared experiences, loyalty, or mutual agreements, the blood of the covenant. Yes, I love it. Thank you so much, Aida, for finding that quote for me. Yes, so when we compare ourselves to other people who have had or have support networks, the emotional connections, um, the family members that they can go and vent to or get support from, and we perhaps don't have that, who says that we can't have that, right? That we can't find these support networks, these people that are not our blood relatives elsewhere, right? We can find chosen family, we can create these support networks. And that's one thing that I have done, right? That's a success story for me. I, again, similarly, when I was training, I saw many of my peers and colleagues that I was training with have a challenging day and talk to, just life challenges in general, and be able to pick up the phone and speak to a parent or a family member or a sibling or someone like that. And I didn't have that. And it was really sad. Like, I felt the grief behind that, behind the fact that I didn't have that. And it's something that I have consciously worked on creating, because we do need that. Like, we do need a support network. And I now have that, and it's awesome. So, yes, for sure. So I would love to know if there is a dream or goal that you have wanted to do, wanted to achieve, and it's slipped through your fingers, right? It's not come to fruition. And if you'd like to share that in the chat, what your dream or your goal was or is, I would love to know. And I would also love to know, can you remember that part of you or the version of you that wanted it at that time? Can you remember that version of you or that part of you that wanted that goal, wanted to achieve that thing at the time? And, when you first thought of this dream or this goal, can you remember how the idea or the prospect of achieving it or doing it made you feel? Right, I would love to know that as well. Like, how did the idea of doing this goal or achieving this goal or doing this thing, how did it feel? Um, was it exciting? Did it feel like, exciting and fun and joyful and possible? And then as time goes on, challenges arise. We compare ourselves to others. Perhaps we go on social media, right? We start a social media page, we start an Instagram page or TikTok page or a Facebook page, and we start to look at other people who are doing the same thing. Because in business, right, one of the things you have to do in marketing is look at your competitors, right? You have to see what other people are doing. And perhaps that is a trigger for many people, that looking at what other people in your industry are doing. And if you have an ounce, right, of not good enoughness or an ounce of shame, then that's going to trigger that feeling. That's going to trigger the shame. It's going to trigger the not good enoughness. And it's going to be like, well, I'm I'm not good enough. I'm not going to be able to get to that level. I'm not going to be able to do that. And then these feelings creep in and they grow and they get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you just give up, right? You just give up. You say, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not good enough. I'm never going to be able to do it. Never going to be good enough. Never going to be as good as they are. So what's the point? I would love to know. Pop in the chat. Or if you're watching this back, pop in the comments. And then we can think about the stories that we tell ourselves about this dream or this goal and the comparison. We can become aware. I always say that awareness is empowerment, right? Because once we start to become aware of what we've got going on mentally and emotionally, and sometimes physically too, we are empowering ourselves to make better decisions. We're empowering ourselves to say, okay, I'm aware that comparison or that goal, me giving up on that goal, has something to do with the fact that I feel like I'm not good enough. I'm aware of that now, that feeling and that belief now, and now I can decide something different. I can do something with that information. I can decide that maybe I am good enough, or if I don't feel like I am good enough, what can I do to feel good enough, right? What can I do to be good enough? And so what stories did you start to tell yourself when the goal or the dream didn't come to fruition? And we started to compare ourselves to others. What stories did you tell yourself, right, when you were comparing yourselves to others whose goals appeared to be working out, right? What stories were you telling yourself? So you could have said things like, they worked harder than I did, or they work harder than I do, or they're more talented than me. They have something that I don't, right? They have the X factor. They have the thing that I want to have, but I just don't have it, right? It's not in my wheelhouse. It's not in my ability. And I remember being so frustrated at university when a lot of my classmates were getting better grades than I did. And every year, every summer, I had to go back to the city that I was studying in to resit my exams. And again, at the time, I didn't know that I had autism or ADHD. It was well before I was diagnosed. I mean, this is me. Like, I was a teenager. I was a 17, 18, 19-year-old. And now I'm 39. This was a long time ago. And I would tell myself, like, my classmates are working harder than me, right? They're more talented than me. They have something that I don't, right? They have focus, right? Why can't I focus? Why am I struggling, like, with remembering, with my memory? Like, why am I struggling with when I'm in the exam room, right? For example, when I was in the exam room, one of the things that really triggered me was noises. and light, right? Autism, right? Noise, light, and environmental sounds and temperatures and things like that. And I just couldn't, like, I couldn't write when these things were happening. I couldn't focus. I couldn't write. I couldn't think. I was just total, like, blackout, right? Just blacking out in the exam room. Not very helpful when you're trying to, sit an exam for like the second time. And I thought it was something, I thought that was just, that's normal. That's normal, but it just means that they're better than me. So they're probably experiencing that too, but they're just better at handling it than I am. Um, some stories that you might tell yourself, or you might have told yourself, was, I missed my chance. If I just tried harder when I was younger, I wouldn't be put in this position now, right? If I tried harder when I was younger, we always use age as an excuse as to why we can't do something. Oh, I'm too old now. No one, I'm irrelevant, right? If I'm turning this age, then it means that no one's going to want to know what I have to say. And it's really interesting because we say that when we're younger, don't we? Or at least I did. I said when I was younger, no one wants to know what a teenage or 20-year-old person has to say about this subject. And now I'm older. I'm like, the thoughts have popped up. Like the older I get, the harder it's going to be for people to take me seriously. And I'm like, that is absolute nonsense. Like, who says that that is true, right? Yes, okay, some people might have that perspective, but they're not my audience, right? Like, so things like, it's too late for me, right? Comparing myself to someone else, look at them, right? They're already successful. Looking at someone who's got like 10,000 Instagram followers, or an email list that's like 1 million people, and I've got like 400 or like 1,000 followers on Instagram. I'm like, how am I going to get there? Like, how am I going to? It's too late. Like, it's too late for me, right? Okay, like comparing myself to someone who's already built it and already done it. They have something I don't, or they had something that I didn't. They're more talented than me. They must have had support that I've never had, right? They must have the confidence that I don't have. I should be further along by now. At my age, I should have achieved that already. There's that word should, right? That problematic word should, which is coming from a part of us that is a wounded inner part, usually a wounded inner child part that believes that they're fundamentally flawed. Or that they are not getting their needs met somehow. Everyone else has already figured it out. What's wrong with me? Like, well, what's wrong with me? Everyone else has already figured it out. I can't figure it out. Maybe I wasn't good enough after all. Maybe that dream was never realistic for me. Or they made it because they're better. I wasn't meant to make it. It just wasn't in my it wasn't written in my stars. It wasn't in my fate. Right? Maybe I wasn't meant to do this thing. I wasted my potential. I had so much going for me, and I threw it all away. Either because we had burnout, we had an illness, we had a family, we had health issues, uh, we ran out of money, we couldn't support ourselves financially, whatever it was. Went through a challenging relationship. A parent died, whatever it was. Something happened, and it stopped it from stopped my dream from happening. Yeah. Another one is, if I'd only made different choices, I'd be where they are now. They're living the life that I wanted, right? Because of the choices that they made. And if only I had made those choices, I'd be where they are now. They have the success, recognition, lifestyle, everything I dreamed of. It's not fair, right? It's not fair. Why do they get the thing and I don't, right? Like, we can have these like flip-flopping moments where we're like, I'm not good enough. It's like split energy. Like, I'm not good enough. But then what's wrong with me? Like, why am I not getting the thing that they are getting? Well, it's because you believe you're not good enough. Or you believe that fundamentally there's something, wrong, or that's not right. And a lot of these stories, right, a lot of these things that we tell ourselves can create a sense of injustice, envy, and powerlessness, right? Like, life is life is something that happens to us, right? Rather than something we can create based on our thoughts and feelings and actions, right? Because self-esteem, how we feel about ourselves; self-concept, what we think about ourselves; self-confidence is those two things combined with the action we take, right? Self-confidence is the action we take using our thoughts and feelings about ourselves, our belief system about ourselves. And these stories, right? These stories that we tell ourselves, pop any in the chat, by the way. Feel free to pop any stories in the chat that you have thought of that I didn't mention there, because there's a lot more. There's a lot more. These stories affect our self-esteem, our self-concept, and our self-confidence because they blend the comparison with a deep sense of shame, right, around who we are, our abilities, even things like our time and our productivity not going fast enough. I've not made it fast enough. Like, for example, when I was training, a couple of years into my training, a couple of years after my training, watching my colleagues and my peers go off and do their thing and like hit the ground running, be successful. And I'm like, why am I not where they are? Like, I should be where they are with the same amount of time that they've got. We've both got the same amount of time. So why am I where I am and they are where they are? Right? As if this time pressure, this crazy invisible time pressure has been put on me and my productivity because I have these expectations about it. And that is not healthy because our brains all work in very different ways. Our abilities are all very different. It's not fair for me to compare myself to someone else's abilities, to compare my abilities to someone else's abilities, to compare my brain to someone else's brain. Because our brain and our ability works at different speeds and different levels, just like learning. Like, we all learn in different ways. We all learn at different speeds and levels. Another thing that it does for us, right, it mixes the grief of missing out, the grief of loss of this dream that we had, or this goal, or this idea that we had, with self-blame, right? It's my fault. It's my fault that I couldn't do the thing, or it's my fault that I missed out. Making it hard to feel proud about any progress we've made, any forward momentum that we've made. It makes us really hard to feel proud of any forward momentum, especially when we're comparing ourselves to others, because we could do the comparison. We have the comparison. We feel sad because we're not there yet, and then we blame ourselves for it. And then if we make any progress, that progress gets lost because of the blame, because we're too busy blaming ourselves and looking at other people. We just can't feel proud. We can't celebrate the progress. And another thing that these stories do is that they imply that there was only one window to succeed, right? There was only one chance to get it right, and we've missed it, right? Which creates a big sense, a false sense of finality, right? There was this one window of opportunity that I had to do this thing, and I didn't do it, and that's it, done, it's gone, it's final. I can't do it. Not doing it again, can't do it again. Which can make us feel severely defective, right? It can make us feel less than, like we were destined to fall short, right? Like it's my destiny that God or the universe or whatever didn't want me to do the thing, right? Which I feel like is not true. Depending on what your belief system is, I believe that these goals and dreams and ideas are a gift, right? They're gifted to us by source, the divine, God, whatever you want to say, whatever name you want to give it. um, because it knows, universal source, power, God, whatever you want to call it, knows the full potential. And the only thing that's stopping us from achieving this potential is our own belief in what's possible for us, right? And circumstances can happen and things, right? But that doesn't mean that it was never possible. It doesn't mean that the fates have been sealed. It doesn't mean that that's it. That's the end of. And these stories that we tell ourselves can lead us to giving up entirely or shrinking our sense of what's possible for us and for other people too. Because many of us, I would say everyone, is influential to those around us, whether we're aware, whether they're aware. Other people look around them to see what's possible. Some people will take issue, right? Not everyone sees us as inspiration, right? Fair enough. But many people, especially people who look up to us, who respect us, look at us to see what's possible, to know what's possible. And if we give up very easily, that gives them the impression that perhaps it's not possible for them, or perhaps it's not possible for them to do whatever it is that they want to do. So I'm always very aware and conscious of what I tell myself, what stories I tell myself, because people are, especially younger people, are always like sponges, always picking up what we're putting down. So Aida has shared something here. Thank you so much, Aida. I'm always telling myself that my biggest wish was to find and be with my soulmate, the love of my life forever. But now I've found him and already lost him. It feels like an eternal loss. I'm so sorry, Aida. Yeah. Who says we only have one, right? Who says we only have one soulmate? Okay, yeah, some spiritual religions and things like that tell us that there's one, right? But I feel like there is more than one. You know, we can have many soulmates, and the soulmates don't have to be human, right? I have a soulmate cat. My cat is my soulmate, 100%. I believe he is, yeah. I also have a partner who is too, but my cat definitely is my soulmate. One of them, for sure. Do you know then, right? So going on to these stories that we tell ourselves, do you know what else they could do to your self-confidence, right? How do you think that these stories that we tell ourselves, for example, right, that I only have one soulmate, what that does, I've only got one soulmate and I've lost them, what that does to our self-esteem and our self-concept. And how do you think, question for all of yours, how do you think the stories that you tell yourself and the rules, right, the rules and the truths that we tell ourselves, that the truths that we believe to be true, these stories, right, they are our truth. What do you think that affects, or how do you think that affects, right, how you act, react, and interact with the world from that point, right, from that story, from that truth, from that viewpoint, from that belief system that you have, from that rule, right, that you've made? How do you think that affects your action in the world, your reaction in the world, and your interaction with other people in the world? Because I would feel like it would limit actions, reactions, and interactions. It would um, it would make them more challenging or non-existent. It would certainly have a lot of resistance. It would create a lot of resistance around them. Yeah, limiting. Yeah. And what do you think that these stories have taught other people around you, right? Because remember, what you believe to be true about yourself, not only do we attract other people into our lives who have the same perspectives, but we also attract people into our lives who have the same who have the same beliefs and perspectives, yes, but also who will and expect us to do and not do things in that. So, having these beliefs and perspectives and telling these stories about us, do we think that perhaps other people have, like, almost like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? If I believe, if I believe that I'm less than, and not good enough, I might attract people into my life who also think that I'm not good enough, or I might attract people into my life who think that they're not good enough. And that is challenging to be around. It's challenging to be around people who are um, constantly doubting themselves and constantly needing validation and affirmation. And yeah, okay, we can help people who are struggling and we can make people feel better. We can remind people of their good enoughness and we can remind people, we can give them, pep talks and advice. But doing that all the time is when we've got all our own stuff to work through, like, so we have to set a boundary there. We have to absolutely set boundaries. And also, what have these stories taught people who are around us, who look up to us? Do you think that they could potentially adopt that story too? And is that really what we want for our loved ones and people who are around us? Like, do we want their truth to be that it's not possible for them, or do we want them to also believe that it's possible, that whatever they want to do we want their dreams to come true? Right? Because I know that I want my friends and loved ones, I want their wildest dreams to come true. I want them to be happy and healthy and having the best time ever. But if I'm over here fundamentally believing that it's not possible for me and I can't do it, I'm never going to do it, I'm not good enough, I'm flawed, I'm a bad person, blah, 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 all these things. And they take that on board and they think, oh, maybe I was right, maybe I'm not, consciously, unconsciously, in whatever way they adopt that it kind of hurts. It feels bad. Like, I don't want my loved one and my friends and my people around me to adopt my limiting beliefs. And I would also love to know, very quickly, how do you think these stories affect your physical, mental, and emotional health? How do you think telling yourself these stories over and over again, right? Let's just remind ourselves of some of them. Things like, I wasted my potential. They're more talented than me. I missed my chance. At my age, I should have already achieved that. They made it because they're better. How does that affect our physical, mental, and emotional health? I would say negatively. I would say that it affects our mental, physical, and emotional health very negatively when we really embed and start telling ourselves these stories over and over again when we're comparing ourselves to others. It sends us in a downward spiral. It can affect our posture. It can, we can get aches and pains because the mental, emotional, physical body are all related. They're all connected. They're not compartmentalized like some industries, let's call them, would have us believe. They're all interconnected. They're all working in harmony, right? And if we have a thought that creates a feeling in the body, a physical feeling, that physical feeling turns into a chemical reaction and can send us into fight or flight or panic or sadness, despair, anger. And having these things happen over and over again in the body affects our systems, right? If we're in fight or flight often, then all of our systems shut down because it's not safe. We're not safe. We don't feel safe. We need to get out of there. We're in flight mode. We're in runaway mode. We're in fight mode. We need to, get ready for a fist fight. We're in fright. We're in shock. We're in flop. We're like passing out. We're in fawn. We're people pleasing. We're doing whatever we can to make sure that other people are okay. Doesn't, regardless of what we need, what our needs are. When we're in these states physically, through anger, fear, jealousy, grief, constantly, then it really affects us physically, mentally, and emotionally. I would love to know, right? What if, I'm just going to send out some very different perspectives right now. What if you couldn't do the thing that you wanted to do, right? Because you were coping, because you were surviving. What if you're not untalented? What if you're not missing anything, right? What if you're just good enough just as you are? What if you were unrecognized or unsupported or undersupported? What if you're becoming something different, right? What if you are creating a new way of doing things, right? What if the way that that other person that you've compared yourself to, the way that they're doing it in a different way? What if you can do it in a way that suits you better? It's better for your life. Because that's been such a huge aha moment. It's been a huge eureka moment in my life, especially around the way that I run my business. It's okay for me to take time. It's okay for me to go at my own pace. It's okay. It's safe for me to do what I need to do to make sure that I'm okay in order so that I can show up and be okay for my clients, for my listeners, for people who watch the videos. Because if I don't, then that doesn't not it's not conducive to good mental health. It's not, or physical health or emotional health, right? It's not possible for me to do it the way that other people are doing it. And for me to compare myself to others and the way that they're doing it is silly. It doesn't make any sense because they're different, right? Their brain works different to me. So I want you to sit up straight, take a nice deep breath in and out. I want you to place your hand in the center of your chest, or both hands. Close your eyes, drop your shoulders, take a nice deep breath in and out again. And I want you to say after me, I'm still unfolding. I'm still on my journey. I'm still learning, no matter how old I am, no matter what stage of my journey I'm on. I'm still learning. I'm still unfolding. I'm still on my journey. How does that feel? How does that feel doing that? I would love you to go back to that version of you, right, who first had that dream or that idea or that goal, who perhaps realized that they couldn't do it, that they were comparing themselves to others, it wasn't possible for them. Can you close your eyes? Can you imagine seeing them in front of you? Can you imagine that you've just caught them comparing themselves to someone else, right? You just caught them in the act of comparing themselves to someone else, and they're feeling not good enough. They're feeling like it's not possible. They're feeling like their dream has died, right? There's no point. They're feeling powerless. They're feeling sad. They're feeling grief, right? They're feeling grief of opportunities missed. I want you to imagine sitting them down, right? Imagine a big comfy sofa or some chairs or whatever, sitting them down, take them by the hand, hold their hand, and I want you to imagine telling them, you're not behind, you're on a different timeline. You're not behind, you're just on a different timeline. I want you to tell them, you get to go at your own pace. You get to create your own way of doing it. And if it helps, you can also say, we get to, as in like that part of you and you in the moment, that part of you that set the goal or had the dream or the idea. We get to go at our own pace. We get to create our own way of doing it. And I want you to say, this person or these people that you've compared yourself to, that you've just compared yourself to, their path is not the blueprint. It's just one possibility. Their path is not the blueprint. It's just one possibility of an infinite number of possibilities. Infinite number of possibilities. How they are doing it is just one way of doing it. And the last thing that I want you to say to them is, what we have is valid. Our dream, our idea is valid, even if it's different, even if it looks different, even if the way we do it is different, even if it's quieter, slower, and done differently. What we have is valid. What we are doing is valid. I'm going to throw in one last thing. The last thing. I want you to keep your eyes closed. And I want you to say after me, repeat after me, we are good enough. We are good enough. You, that version of you that set that goal, had that dream, had that idea, and you right now in this present moment, we are good enough. You are good enough. I'm good enough. We are good enough. I want you to open your eyes now. And I want you to play with these concepts for just a moment. How do these concepts feel in your body? What if you didn't have to earn your worth through achievement? What if your worth was not dependent on achieving and doing? What if you are a human being, not a human doing? It's one of my favorite sayings. What if you're not broken or bad or wrong? What if you're not doing it wrong? What if you're not doing it badly? What if you're just doing it differently? What if the thing that you wanted to do, the thing that you caught yourself comparing yourself to others, what if it was already done? What if a future version of you on this current timeline, which is your highest and best timeline, what if it's already done on that timeline and you're just aligning yourself to it by being on this call with me and listening to me right now? What if you're aligning yourself to that version of you who's already done the thing, who's got the thing that you want? Like, the quickest way for you to align yourself to that version of you is to really feel how it would feel to already have done the thing, right? Neville Goddard says, living from the end, right? Living like you have the thing, living like the thing is already done. What would your life look like? What would your daily actions, what would it feel like to wake up first thing in the morning? What would it feel like to go to bed last thing at night, having already done the thing that you want or having the thing that you want to have? How would it feel? Feel that feeling over and over and over again as much as you can. You don't know how you're going to get there, but the how isn't your job, right? The how will show up along your journey, along the timeline. Your only job is to align yourself with the feeling of how it feels to have the thing. Your only job is to believe that it's possible, and the how will come along on the journey. The how will find you because you found the feeling of what it feels like to do the thing, to have the thing. If you find yourself comparing yourself to other people who have the thing that you want or doing the thing that you want to do, see it as an opportunity, as a reminder to to tap into the feelings of what it would be like to have that thing, to do that thing. And see it as a reminder that it's possible. See it as inspiration that that thing is possible for you because it was possible for them they've done the thing, it's possible for them, so that means that it's possible for anyone else, for us. Yes, we're gonna do it differently. It's not gonna look like they've done it, right? It's not gonna be an exact carbon copy of what they've got, well, we wouldn't want that. That wouldn't be authentic to us, right? So, we can use comparison as a reminder and as inspiration that it's possible, and a reminder to feel how it feels when we have the thing that we want, that they have. So, I want to end this by saying you're not alone in your feelings like you missed out or your feelings that it's too late. But I want you to know that your story is not over. Your story is not over. Your journey is not over. You can grieve, right, the loss of that, of what you thought you wanted, of that dream and that goal. But then you can create something else. You can create something new. You can still believe that it's possible, right? Perhaps it means grieving that thing that you wanted to do the way that you thought you wanted to do it. But what if there's a new way of doing it, right? What if you can get to that same place and get that same or get that thing that you want, but it comes to you in a very different way than you thought it would? Usually that's what happens. Like I found whenever I'm creating my life and achieving my goals and doing the things that I want to do, I've had way more success in letting go of how I think it's going to happen. Because it never happens the way that I think it's going to happen. It always happens in some completely random way that I would never have thought of, right? Really quick example. When I left university and I studied fashion design at university, and one of my dream job, right, was to work in wardrobe for touring music shows, right, global tours. And I tried for years, right, being a mosquito, right, emailing and phoning and being annoying, trying to get people's attention. And it just wasn't working. It wasn't working. So I gave up on the idea, right? I saw all these people traveling the world with these tours and doing all these amazing shows and having the best time ever. And I was like, "Ah, really want that thing and I can't get it." So I kind of gave up on the idea a little bit. But I grieved it, right? Then I came back to it. I was like, I don't know, like I still really want to do that thing. And I got a job working in a theatre, running the wardrobe department in Scotland. And the producer, right? This is so what's the word? Um, Tedious. It's such a tedious link that the stage manager of the theatre that I was working with was the next door neighbour of the catering manager of one of the touring companies, right? In an estate in Glasgow, a housing estate. And they passed one morning and the catering manager was talking about the drama that they'd had on one of these tours because the wardrobe assistant didn't show up for the job or she showed up and she wasn't qualified. And the stage manager, bless his heart, said, "Oh, I've got just the right person for you." Gave them my number. They then passed my number on to the person running the tour. That's how I got the job. And I did that for the last 10 years. So I would never have been able to think that that was gonna happen, that I was gonna get the job that way by next door neighbors coming together, right? Just when in passing one morning. Like, you can't you can't you can't write that stuff, right? You can't create that. You just have to let the how show up, right? You have to embed in the idea that it's possible, that what you want is possible, and let go of the how. Let go of the how that it's gonna be possible. It's safe to do differently, right? It's safe to have things come to you in ways that you never thought were possible. It's safe to compare ourselves to other people when we remember that we can do it differently, that their way doesn't have to be our way, and to remember that by us observing them doing the thing that we want to do, it's inspiration, that it's possible. Thank you so much for being with me today. If any of this resonated with you and you're ready to work through this or any other topics more deeply, then please click on the link in the description of this video for a consultation call with me. And yeah, we can do some sessions or whatever you need to heal the old beliefs, right? This is what it's all about. It's becoming aware of what we've got going on, becoming aware of our stories, reconnecting to the version of ourselves, right? That believe it's possible, the joyful parts of ourselves. Be kind to yourself this week. You're doing better than you think. You really are. The fact that you're here with me is so good. It's like the fact that you're here, willing to learn and listen, um, means that you're ready to think new thoughts, feel new feelings, and believe new beliefs about yourself, that you are good enough, that you're worthy, that you can feel satisfaction, you can feel joy, you can feel proud, and you can feel fun and excited about your dreams and your ideas and your goals, no matter what other people are doing around you. Please like this video, please subscribe to my channel, and share this video with anyone else who may benefit from it. I'll see you next week, and we're going to continue on with the topic of comparison. Yeah, right. Have a good one, everyone. Lots of love. Bye bye.